With my 35 years of experience, our team at US Asset Management can deliver professional investment management, financial planning to help you target your goals, and even specialized divorce financial analysis if you need it. We are here to help you make better decisions with your money. Call US Asset Management today and let's get to work in your financial future.
The left is siding with illegals, attacking ICE, and fighting to let non-citizens vote. Republican Kelvin King is a graduate of the Air Force Academy, Air Force veteran, and conservative businessman. As Georgia's Secretary of State, Kelvin will put Americans first, root out corruption, clean up voter rolls, and restore confidence in our elections. The other candidates had their chance and failed. Republican Kelvin King for Secretary of State, leadership Georgia voters can trust.
Pro-Trump warrior Steve Gooch won't just cut property taxes in Georgia. He'll throw them straight in the wood chipper.
Senior citizens on fixed income shouldn't be forced from their homes. Neither should veterans who have served our country and fought for our freedoms. And neither should anyone else for that matter. Frankly, these crazy property taxes are un-American. I'll tear them to shreds. We'll make home ownership great again.
Steve Gooch for Lieutenant Governor. Toughest tax cutter Georgia's ever seen.
Do you already have your investments with Fidelity? I'm David Cross with US Asset Management. Did you know that you can assign your investment management to my team and put my 35 years of experience to work for you? You simply assign us as your investment manager and you keep the same username and password. Professional management, and you get to work with someone who shares your values. Call US Asset Management today and put us to work for you.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
Hey folks, how are you today? I am your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. You can always check out our Substack at Vora. Go to Substack Vora, V-O-R-A, at BKP Politics. So, first, welcome to the uglies, right? Let's call them the uglies. The bots are out. The bots are out. Yes, so when you touch a nerve, or you know how they say you're over the target, all that stuff, they start coming out. But I'm not focusing on the uglies. You're welcome here. You're gonna just say the ugliest stuff. If you never notice on social media when we post things, articles on social media, they can never validate what they put up. They never can attack the substance. They can't. They can only be ugly. So we'll say that. But I don't want to start today's show. I'm running late because I've been researching and a lot is going on. But I want to thank all of you that have sent so many messages of support. I really do. And thanking the program, our network here, Voice of Rural America, for looking into things and bringing information. The uglies, oh, you can't trust that guy. You just can't trust anything he says. Well, we show you things here. We bring the information. We have facts, whatever. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Those that have reached all around the state to say hello. Now, I find it interesting. Rick Jackson's campaign. If you're new to the show, he's running for governor of Georgia. He's a billionaire, I think, to the third power with assets. And they prevented me. They prevented me from entering one of their events Sunday at Poole's Barbecue in East Ellijay. And as we said on the last broadcast, we do not want any retaliation against Poole's Barbecue. We do not. There's a lot more there's a lot more than meets the eye what really happened there, and it's actually pretty ugly. They threatened to forcibly remove me, not Poole's Barbecue, by the way, the Jackson staff. So as that happened Sunday, I'm like, okay, and here's what's funny is they didn't want me in the room Sunday. They didn't want your host, BKP, in the room Sunday, but I have Democrats, we'll say plural, yeah, I have Democrats that are sending me messages, hey, do you want the information from the Jackson campaign? They may not let you in, but they're not aware they're letting us in. Absolutely. I mean, I have Democrats offering me information from the Jackson campaign events because, hey, they're letting us in. They just don't know it, whatever. So it's kind of funny. That being said, all right, now, I study politics, and I try to piece things together. And most of politics is a puzzle. It's a puzzle, understanding how it works, knowing how campaigns are run. And these people that post all the uglies on social media, they don't know how campaigns are run, operated, and things of that nature. They just go in the room and applaud for the cut property tax. Oh, bravo, bravo. I'm going to give you your money back. Oh, bravo. That's what they focus on. So I want to say this. The political rumor circle. Now, every state has a rumor circle. National politics has a political rumor circle in every state. Georgia has a very active rumor circle that flies around. And when you hear something, you got to pull little pieces out, put it on the whiteboard because it's like a crime. It really is. Politics is a crime. But you got to put it on the whiteboard, start piecing it together. So some people get irritated with me and they say, well, I deal in speculation. Why would you put something out that may be a rumor? Well, if it's a rumor, what happens a lot of times, it whoops some things up, gets some things spinning to where people text me stuff. Hey, that's not just a rumor. Or they call me, send me. Seriously. So I know what I'm doing. Pause. There you go. Oh, there he is. That's the jackass we know and love. But maybe you don't love me. But I know what I'm doing. Okay. So last Wednesday, we're going to go back to Banks County. That is the real first time at the Banks County GOP up there where Rick Jackson and the campaign lost control of the narrative. And after that, I did two stories. I really brought to light the fact that he's a never Trumper. Rick Jackson's a never Trumper. I brought that to light. I brought to light that, along with another citizen that highlighted that he gave money to Liz Cheney while after Liz Cheney had voted to impeach Donald Trump. Okay. Then I brought to highlight, and I've been attacked for this, but it doesn't matter because it's truth. I gave the guy 2 times to deny it, and he didn't. I brought to light that he never gave candidate Trump. Now, he gave President Trump $1 million. You're tired of hearing that, but it was in December 2025, long after he's president again. All right. And in the month, December, when they were setting up to launch the campaign, checklist, send Trump money. Checklist, boom. Checklist, try to trick Burt Jones into saying something about foster care. Check, check. So that's what they were doing in December. I brought up the fact in Banks County the other night that he couldn't find money for candidate Trump. 2016, 2020, 2024, 2024, and while at the same time he was giving to Brian Kemp, Brad Raffensperger, Jeff Duncan, and Nikki Haley right up to 2 weeks before she got out of the 2024 campaign running against President Trump. Then there was several election integrity questions. And as you well know, I'm trying to piece everything together. And we're getting these in the mailbox. He wants you to believe he's trying to take down Burt Jones, all right? And another thing, okay? I do not get paid by Burt Jones. And this is not people buy ads. They buy ads with the marketing company. They purchase ads. We play the ads, whatever. But I have not endorsed. None of my articles say I've endorsed Burt Jones. None of my articles say I support Burt Jones. None of my broadcasts or articles say I will vote for or encourage you to vote for Burt Jones. I don't do it. I'm staying away from that. All right? But Trump has endorsed Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. This guy wants to grab the base. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the false front they've created, and this being one, his Burt Jones, right? I mean his Donald Trump endorsement. And here's number 2 right here. Remember, everybody was invited Sunday. So when I come home Sunday, phone's ringing off the hook. I get another article out about that. I get the video out, the podcast. I get it posted. Thank you again very much for all the kind words. But I'm saying something's missing. Not with me, baby. Not with me. Something's missing. There's something out there. And then I get a text message. We're going to bring this in. I got a text message. So I'm reading the text message. And what you need to know about me, okay, I read every word, but I break the words down. Now, I know I'm a grammatical nightmare when it comes to broadcasting and the way I speak, but I write every word down. I mean, I take every word and I look at it and I think, okay, what does this mean? What is the clue here? Really, I do. I love it. Puzzle. So I get a text message. So I read the text message. And I said, what happened in Banks County? What tipped in Banks County? Because there was one question that I did not play. There was one question that had something in there that a couple days later started to reveal. I'm going to get to it. So Sunday I come back and said, there's something else here. So let's go over the little false front that they're putting up. Politico was there that night. The Politico, Rick Jackson cannonballed into governor's race. It's having ripple effects across Georgia. Now some say, are you just going after Jackson? No. I see the full throat attack on Burt Jones. I see in Georgia the money being spent that I don't like. It's got nothing to do with Rick Jackson. I do not like the money being spent in politics the way it's spent. I don't like it. It really bothers me. If it just upsets me. This guy is changing many of the ground rules in Georgia on politics. He's taking things to another level. I mean, who could ever run for governor again that doesn't have $100 million? I mean, is the governor's race just now a billionaires club? Is that so? And also, he's taking the oxygen out of the room because we're trying to defeat Jon Ossoff, okay, for Senate, and we're trying to defeat Jon Ossoff for Senate, and to help President Trump get one more Republican senator up there. And this guy's taking the oxygen out of the room, and the Cook Political Report has moved the Georgia Senate race from toss-up to lean Democrat. Now, you might not agree with that, but they did. They moved it from toss-up, lean Democrat with Jon Ossoff. So that's the top of the ticket. And then down below this governor's race with this false, it's all about him. It's all about him. We got a lieutenant governor's race. We got a secretary of state's race. The oxygen is out of the air because it's all about him and the false front that's been put up. And it's rolling right along here. Rick Jackson cannonballed. Here you go. Here's the article. And they were up there the other night in Banks County. Billionaire healthcare executive turned GOP gubernatorial candidate was making his grand entrance, in Banks County, Republican Party from the helicopter. He was virtually an unknown contender, front runner in the polls now, spending $50 million of his own money, so on and so on. He's cutting into Trump-backed Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones' margins with ultra-conservative voters. See, this right here, this is a Politico. With ultra-conservative voters. Now, senior citizens, let me go with this, okay? Because I don't care at the end of the day if I get in trouble. And I appreciate the messages. Some of you are worried about me. But I cannot stop from the truth, because what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing senior citizens in the room, okay? What did Rush used to call them? Seasoned citizens, whatever. I'm seeing them in the room. That is the majority that is going to see this guy. That is the majority of the base. Conservative, right? Conservative voters. So senior citizens, I'm telling people every day, like they say, he's packing the room, he's getting 200, he's getting 150. And I'd say, yes, but you got to look at the room. You got to look at the room. He's not creating new voters. Hold on. He's not creating new voters. Okay? And I will answer what I'm about to say. I wrote this down. He's only shifting the voter base. They're senior citizens. Customers. Wait, just saying. Now, so, Politico, I'm going to run through this. So Rick Jackson, this was last Wednesday night in Banks County. Rick Jackson, money versus Burt Jones Trump endorsement. Perhaps the biggest target in the face of Jackson's onslaught is Jones, who used to lead the governor's race by most standards. He now finds himself neck and neck with the billionaire in the polling, right? Let's see what I want to put up here. He's a big spending outsider. But even with Jackson's big spending approach, Trump's stamp of approval still holds immeasurable power with the MAGA base. So, I love this part right here. Our friend Noreen Cantor, her hat, if you don't know Noreen, her hat made the picture there. And Jackson, meanwhile, is trying to prove his MAGA credentials with Georgia Republicans to siphon off enough of Jones' votes to win over in Homer, where Jackson was addressing a crowd of about 200 voters. Attendees peppered him with questions about his relationship with Trump. All right? Now, they didn't get into the 2020 election. And here you go. Here's the next one. This happens to be the picture of the man that asked him about Liz Cheney. One man in the crowd asked Jackson to explain why he donated to former Republican Representative Liz Cheney, a longtime Trump critic who voted to impeach the president during his first term. Another, that would be me. Call me another. Another questioned why he had only donated to President Trump after the 2024 election. Jackson answered, just like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, I will admit I was late to the Trump train. There's no question about it, Jackson responded, but I gave $1 million to him. That's not an insignificant concept of supporting someone. So, okay. Now, last Wednesday, things came out. And he got very upset. But that's not it. The 2020 election, that's not it. Now, I'm about to show you, what I'm showing you here is the false face and what I think is going on here. What I really think is going on here. All right. So, give me a minute. We're gonna get right into this. Politico talking about Brad Raffensperger having a lane. Will he have a lane? They continue with the article. Now, so we're going to come back to this in a minute. Because remember, that was on April 8th. On April 8th, last Wednesday. And then WTOC put up, fact check, did Rick Jackson's company profit from a Medicare scam? Okay, so let's go back to the false front before we get into this. So when Rick Jackson's campaign goes places, they stage certain people. They're releasing, if you go to their website or their social media, they're releasing the people standing up, praising him. Thank you for being here. He highlights widows. There are people around the state that are desperate for help in foster care, widows, children with disabilities, whatever it may be. And they're showing up because he has a front of compassion that he shows, and they're showing up. And then his campaign is selective in putting out especially since Sunday, and today being Wednesday, they are blasting how he takes every question anyone asks. And here you go. I did have sort of a similar childhood, and I faced a lot of issues that it seems like he grew up with. And that really spoke to me. He definitely won my vote from today. So they're clipping out. They're inviting the local TV, right? Just not other. Remember other over here? Another? I'm not other. Another. All right, so I don't know why I do that stuff. Just don't stop there. So this lady had a similar childhood and got his vote. And I understand this is politics. And then Jackson says, unleashing Georgia's economy is making our state the most affordable in America, is going to take action. My plan halts the insane property tax, slashes the income tax, ends the free ride, and smashes the political cartel. Now, something is telling me, or a lot of people, that the guy is entrenched and woven into the political cartel that he says he's going to go, just say it, that cares more about lining their pockets than helping regular people. When I say we're going to light it up, we're going to light it up. Cut the income tax in half. Freeze property tax, eliminate wasteful government spending, ban government benefits for those that won't work past term limits. I mean, that's as generic as they get. Healthcare, when he gets asked, now remember this in this segment, when Jackson is asked about healthcare, he stays away. He is staying. Now, he has said, by the end of my first term, if we're not the most affordable or something, this is not a quote, or we don't have the best healthcare plan in America, I won't run again. But he has said multiple times, you can go look it up, that he tells on himself, when we basically polled what are the top issues, healthcare doesn't come up. He has said that a couple times. Basically, I don't want to talk about it. Now, so there's your Jackson action plan. He stays away from healthcare for a reason. A reason. Okay? Now, here is in Ellijay. Now, I don't know if this was staged, so for the uglies, the haters, because Jackson has teams everywhere. Got them on social media. In fact, I already know the names of people that are being paid. Yes, they're being paid to follow me on social media and get in there and fight with the people that are posting about me or my post. They're mixing it up, what they say. So the uglies really get out here. I don't know if this was set up, but this lady comes to, this is Ellijay, all right? And this is the kind of stuff they're releasing. One of the most humbling parts of this experience has been how many former Jackson Healthcare associates have shown up at our meeting. Wow. So this former showed up to say, I know him. He's amazing. He's great. He's a man of his word. I worked there. So, right? Okay. He dropped $1 million with Trump. Now, here's another one. So this guy here stands up. He's a seasoned citizen, right? Now, the guy holding the mic in the plaid, he's the guy that stopped me from going in there. And you can see a picture, a silhouette in the background of the famous Colonel Oscar Poole. You want to mix and mingle and hear what others have to say, and you got the right kind of BS. That's busy servant rather than big shot. That guy set up. They're posting these everywhere, right, in the room. And here you go. Here's another. Now I'm getting ready. Remember the Medicare. Remember the fact check. Don't leave. Oh, we're getting there. This is the false front of the campaign. I've told you. I'm going to tell you. I've said this to people, so I might as well say it on air. I have followed campaigns for 15 years. Herschel Walker, David Perdue, Brian Kemp. The list goes on. I mean, I've followed them for 15 years. Presidential, whatever. This is the fake, false, phony campaign I've ever followed. I've never followed one as false as this campaign. Really. Okay, now, and I'm going to show you what's troubling me and why I'm going with this. And it's really, I've had people say, are you sure you want to do this? My campaign doesn't need money from donors or special interest. I don't owe anybody anything, period. Every decision I make is based on what's good for regular Georgians, not donors, right? So this is out there. Let's go to another one here. Now, this evening in Savannah, I shared my story and answered questions about property taxes, childhood literacy for more than 2 hours. But be on the lookout for a video of some of our stops soon so you can see my answers to questions you may have as well. So they're not going to sort through those. They're going to edit answers and be on the lookout. They're going to prove me wrong that they answer questions. Okay? I see you. I hear you. We will win big. Right there, Jackson is in. There you go. Now, here he is. There's two things here. He's already campaigning against Keisha Lance Bottoms. One, he feels he's so far ahead that he's going to start running against Keisha. He has internals. Keisha is going to be the nominee over the Democrat. He says maybe that's one or two. He is campaigning against Keisha Lance Bottoms because that may keep bringing Jeff Duncan up. Just saying, politically, it may be help. This could be a help to Jeff Duncan every day. Don't know, but it's out there. Now, we're just going quickly through here because we're going to get to that one. We want to come back because that's the one I'm scratching my head. Medicare fraud? Because senior citizens, this is why I'm thinking, wait a minute. Is there an accusation of Medicare fraud with Jackson Healthcare? because senior citizens, and I don't know about you, but I'll be damned. My mother, and people preying on my mother, I'm serious. And that's who's in the room. So here's another one here. The 2026 legislative session ended. Burt Jones failed to deliver real property tax. See, he has, and I understand he's running against Burt Jones, but he writes down all these things and he just goes and attacks Burt Jones, what he failed to do. He leaves John Burns out, over the Speaker of the House leaves John Burns out, leaves the governor out, which I can understand. I do understand that. Okay, now, let's go to the next one here. I get questions about my plan for property tax at every stop. I have heard the widows across the entire state who are being forced to sell their homes because property tax. It's heartbreaking and it has to stop. So let me lay out my plan here too. We will immediately freeze property tax. Stop the increase. Some counties have increased their property tax by 40%. I say freeze to start with, because if we do sweeping one-size-fits-all solution out of the gate, it could hurt smaller counties. Okay, he's already coming up with some outs. All right, now listen to this. This is where it really frustrates me. The ultimate goal. Now listen to the ultimate goal, okay? The ultimate goal, listen to it. Now pay attention to me. He has the seasoned citizens, which I call customers. I call them customers. Just say it. Just say it. He has the seasoned citizens. All right? He has them in there. He knows those are the primary voters. His ultimate goal, they keep saying property tax. My ultimate goal is lowering your property tax. The ultimate goal is not letting anyone be forced out of their homes. Heck, I'd like to eliminate property tax for seniors over 65 and as many people as possible. Seniors over 65. Now, stop right there. We're not going to get stuck on the property tax, but this is a lie. And if they do, get ready. Middle class or the under 65. Get ready. Okay? Here's the pie. The pie's $100 million. Let's say there's 5 slices in the pie. But the county, city, Board of Education, county, the pie has $100 million in it. He tells 65 and over, hey, you know what? You don't have to pay property tax anymore. Well, did the pie go from 100 million to 60 million? No, the pie's still 100. The 40 million gets split equally in the balance of the slices. Watch what's about to happen out there, Georgians, hardworking Georgians, because if you're a senior citizen, hey, I don't want to pay taxes. I get it. But this is nothing but a trick. Nothing but a trick. We'll get more into that. But you see where he's going. So, here is Speaker John Burns and Rick Jackson. Now, so I asked, I had a conversation, stay with the Medicaid fraud. You got to stay with me. So I asked, okay, yeah, Rick Jackson straight up said he'd spend whatever it takes to win this governor's race. He's already dropped over $50 million of his own money on it. He's a billionaire from Jackson Healthcare, blah, blah, blah. All right. So he's going to spend anything he has to. Now, some get mad when you say buy an election. But, so I asked other questions. Here's the exact quote. Not only do I not need their money, I'll spend whatever it takes to win this race. I'll take away their power, give it back where it belongs to the people of Georgia. Okay? All right. Never back down. I will spend whatever it takes to win this thing. So he will do whatever it takes. He'll drop, first of all, he'll send $1 million to Donald Trump and say, look, you might not endorse me or pull your endorsement for Burt Jones, but you do me a favor, don't talk bad about me, right? So he's going to do financially. He said what he has to do. He said it. He's going to do what he's got to do. So I asked another question. Not only do I not need their money, I will spend, okay. He said this at the campaign kickoff. All right, that's the same one. Now, he said, it's a cartel. I'm coming to break it up. It's a cartel. I'm coming to break it up. He said that straight at the campaign kickoff in February. If you want another career politician who will bow to the cartel, my opponents are for you. All right? He's calling the whole political establishment under the Gold Dome a cartel run by lobbyists. Both quotes are covered by WRDW and the Georgia Record. Now, it's a cartel. I'm coming to break it up. But he says he's going to spend anything he has to. So, I put this out. So I get a phone call a couple last week. And state representatives. Hey, what do you think about endorsing Rick Jackson? I said, well, what do you mean? We are getting a lot of pressure. They want us to endorse Jackson. We're getting a lot of pressure to endorse Rick Jackson. Okay. So I said I put a couple articles out. You may want to read them. And I was told I already read those articles. Anyhow, so and I plan to keep the individual phone calls confidential. So, there you go. So I said, okay. And I already knew that they were working on trying to get the endorsements. So I went out there, and I've been attacked for this because it's rumor. So then I get a phone call at 10:30 the other night. Monday night? It's Wednesday. Yes, Monday night, I think it was. Yeah. Get a phone call at 10:30 at night saying, you know what? You could drop this. Jackson offered John Burns $2 million. Wait a minute. Right? Jackson offered John Burns $2 million for the Georgia House Republican Leadership PAC if he could get 50 or more House reps to endorse him. I'm saying, you know what? He has said he'll do and spend anything. He will. And a lot of people are talking about it. He paid. We don't know. We don't have that here. That he paid Newt Gingrich for the ad. So, and I would look in John King's campaign contributions here in a little while to see if something dropped in there, the insurance commissioner. So I put this out. What if I was to tell you that rumors are flying that Rick Jackson may drop $2 million into the House leadership PAC in return for 50 or more House, right? I do know for a fact, I put this out, I do know for a fact House members are being pressured, by whom, I don't know, to endorse Rick Jackson. Maybe someone could check this out with John Burns, see if the rumors are true, and maybe Burns will know who's applying the pressure with House members. And I tagged Greg Bluestein. Hey, why don't you guys ask? Now, I got a lot of pressure on that. So I went back the next day and I put the same quote and I put at the top, look, why would you deal in rumor? Well, guess what? All I was doing, and I put it out, I said, yes, it's a rumor. You don't like it, but I'm putting it out. Go call your state reps and see if it's true. Well, I got a call yesterday that said, the gentleman knows of what he speaks. Okay. Then I got this message. I got a text message. Because Rick Jackson was in Dalton. Rick Jackson was in Dalton the other night. And I got this text message that said, Steve Tarvin, State Representative Steve Tarvin, endorsed Burt last fall. But he showed up at the Rick Jackson event last night, and Steve and Rick had a meeting prior to the event. Now that's what I got. Okay? So they're doing what they have to do. And then the other day, someone posted his estate. And I don't care. I'm a capitalist. I do not care. I don't care. I'm a capitalist. You make money. But this has been a picture posted. This is the estate of Rick Jackson, right? Now I'm going to say something controversial. I'm really going to get hit here, but he goes in the room, and this is the estate. Now it takes a lot of money to run an estate like this. A lot of money, okay? And he has said, if you've been to any of his events, he has said that he decided that his money is not his but God's. Okay, I'm not questioning that. For those out there, do not attack me. He decided to give away everything he earned over a certain amount, and in 2008, he set up nonprofits. Right? He decided that the money is God's. He decided to give away everything he earned over a certain amount. In 2008, set up nonprofits. Let me tell you something. Billionaires, they don't do anything with their money, not questioning his relationship with God, so get off my ass. But billionaires don't do anything with the money that they don't consult or working with their accounting team or their advisors financially. He can tell you anything he wants, okay? There's a such thing called a charitable trust. Yes. So yes, he has put money, millions of dollars, helping. He has. But a certain amount is what he has said over and over. I've heard it myself in the room. So what happened is he's making so much money, and for tax purposes, is my opinion. It's my opinion. For tax purposes, the best thing you could do is get rid of millions of dollars. Wouldn't we all love to have, hey, get rid of $1 million? It's hurting me. Because he has to pay the upkeep of this enormous estate. And he doesn't specify the certain amount he keeps every year. But in 2008, he set up nonprofits. Right? Those are charitable trusts. Should be charitable trusts. I'm not for sure. Tax shelters. And I don't want attacked. I don't want sued. I don't want people to yell at me. But I think when it's spun a different way, it sounds a certain way. Just wanted to say that, okay? Because I'm about tired of hearing that story. Now, so let's go back here. And this is where you've been hanging on. I hope you have, right? Let's go back to this right here. So I look at this and it says, fact check, did Rick Jackson's campaign profit from a Medicare scam? Okay, seniors, the people in the room. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I got to look at that a little further. And what is tying up here? Now, before I go any further, I spoke to several people yesterday, and I talked to this one individual that is very politically astute, just not far under my pay grade. Yes, not quite up there with BKP, but not far behind. That's a joke. Relax. That being said, I'm having this conversation. And the guy says to me, he says, you know what, Brian, I have gone through everything. I've talked to my friends. I talked to people that are supporting the guy. And every time I turn around, I always come back to the why. I can't get why this guy is running. It's just, I still can't get that. And I can't. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm looking closer. I cannot put my on why is this guy running. Now, I think I know. Okay? And it's speculative for those that are going to attack me. But when I saw this, Medicare. And then I said, did Jackson ever? So I went to Grok. And I asked Grok, I said, Dr. Edward William Slauko, D.O. No, I didn't. Wait a minute. Before I went to Grok, I looked at that and I said, wait a minute. Burt Jones put out, now stay with me. Burt Jones put out some ads. All right? And I'm going to play 2 ads in a row for you. Stay with me. Because I think this is big.
Jackson's company profited off a Medicare fraud scam targeting seniors. And this is Jackson's personal financial report, signed by Jackson, showing $1 billion of taxpayers' money going into his pocket. Jackson got filthy rich on your money. Watch what's being taken advantage of. And that's what Rick Jackson did. You know what Georgians hate? Being taken advantage of. And that's what Rick Jackson did. According to the U.S. Attorney, Jackson's company profited off a Medicare fraud scam targeting seniors. That's despicable. And this is Jackson's personal financial report, signed by Jackson, showing $1 billion of taxpayers' money going into his pocket. Yep, Jackson got filthy rich on your money. Just imagine how much more he'd grab as governor.
So Rick Jackson is a fraud, it says, and I thought to myself, now wait a minute, I'm getting the ads where, Burt Jones, the gas stations, they sell the juice for vaping. They have video poker and all these ugly things, and we will do a segment on that. And he's gone after Burt and gone after Burt and gone after Burt. And I said to myself, wait a minute. Medicare fraud. I wonder if this is true. He put ads out like this. So I thought to myself, wait a minute, let me check. So I went, and here's the fact check. All right. A TV station did a fact check. All right. And we're going to play this for you now.
Or fiction. Georgia Governor candidate Rick Jackson's company profited from a Medicare fraud scam. That's what a political ad on air now is claiming. WTOC's lead investigator Shay Schrader joins us now in studio. And Shay, you have fact-checked this claim. So what did you find out?
This ad has been paid for by Burt Jones for Georgia. Jones is also running in the Republican primary for governor and is being sued by Jackson for defamation related to other claims. Here's the claim in Burt Jones's ad about Rick Jackson.
You know what Georgians hate? Being taken advantage of. And that's what Rick Jackson did. According to the U.S. Attorney, Jackson's company profited off a Medicare fraud scam targeting seniors. That's despicable.
Jones's campaign claiming Jackson's company defrauded seniors in a Medicare scam. Here's what we found. Rick Jackson founded and owns Jackson Healthcare, the parent company of Jackson & Coker, a healthcare staffing firm. In 2024, the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Eastern District of Washington announced Jackson & Coker, as well as physician Edward Salko, agreed to pay $700,000 to resolve allegations that they participated in a kickback scheme to bill Medicare for medically unnecessary equipment. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Salko was retained by a company called Nationwide through Jackson & Coker. Nationwide used telemarketers to contact people on Medicare, obtained personal information about them, and used that information to generate a physician order for medical equipment. Dr. Salko would then sign the order, after which they were billed to Medicare. Nationwide then paid Jackson & Coker, who paid Dr. Salko for each order he reviewed. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Jackson & Coker fully cooperated with the federal investigation and has taken significant remedial actions to improve operations. To see more of our political coverage for this election season, head on over to WTOC.com. Shay Schrader, WTOC Investigates.
Thank you, Shay. And WTOC is your election.
So, wait a minute. So, I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. There's something here last Wednesday night. Because remember, it was last Wednesday night in Banks County. There was one question that I did not air, and I'm not going to do the entire question right now. But I heard something. Now, what I heard here is telemarketing. I've heard Jackson talk about telehealth, telemedicine, right? The Jackson Healthcare is very, very big in telehealth, telehealth psychiatry, right? Something like that. I've heard him talk about that. For mental illness, he says he could have telehealth psycho, or he could have analysis or whatever. I've heard all that. What I'm getting at is, I hear these things, I'm just starting to piece things together, and I'm like, wait a minute. So that was Wednesday night. The ads Burt Jones brought out was on the 9th, April 9th. And you know what? I said, there's something here that Jackson doesn't want you to know. And let me play last Wednesday. Get ready for this.
I have a friend that was a traveling nurse. Abortion, that's ridiculous. We don't make those decisions. We're not doctors. We've never made a decision. And there's a new ad coming out. We've never billed Medicare, so we can't do that either, and we can't commit fraud in Medicare because we don't bill Medicare. We bill the hospital on an hourly basis and so forth. As far as Planned Parenthood, I have back here. Yes, sir. Abortion, that's ridiculous. We don't make those decisions. We're not doctors. We've never made a decision. And there's a new ad coming out. We've never billed Medicare, so we can't do that either, and we can't commit fraud in Medicare because we don't bill Medicare. We bill the hospital on an hourly basis and so forth. As far as Planned Parenthood, I have
So you hear him say, we can't commit Medicare fraud, right? You heard that. We can't commit. Our company can't even commit fraud, right? You heard that. So that was last Wednesday on the 8th. He said, there's a new ad coming out. Because this question was asked about Planned Parenthood and nurses. And he says, by the way, there's a new ad coming out tomorrow. We never bill Medicare. We can't commit Medicare fraud. So it's okay, new ad coming out. And then Burt Jones puts that ad out, and then that TV channel fact checks this. So I said, okay, we have to go look. We have to go look. Now that's the reason I laid out the front of this as this campaign is false, because I think I know where it's going. So here it is. I went on Grok and I said, hey, Dr. Edward Salco, a physician from Richland, Virginia, Washington, was contracted through Jackson and Coker, blah, 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 between, now, justice.gov, it gives all the references, between April 2021, he reviewed the electronically signed off on orders for durable medical equipment, a diagnostic lab test for Medicare beneficiaries he never spoke or treated. These orders came from Nationwide Health Associates, which used telemarketers to target seniors. Telemarketers to target seniors, okay? The company paid Jackson and Coker, which paid Dr. Soklow per order approved. Nearly all of them, the claims billed to Medicare exceeded $750,000 for services that weren't medically necessary. The U.S. Attorney's Office of the Eastern District of Washington, right, under the False Claims Act, all right, investigated this kickback scheme under the False Claims Act in March of 2024. Dr. Sokolow and Jackson Coker agreed to pay $700,000 to settle, including $250,000 in restitution without admitting liability. All right? Official records describe this as official records. Remember, we cannot commit Medicare fraud. We cannot commit Medicare fraud. New ad coming out, right? They fact-checked it on TV. So, official U.S. official records describe this as Medicare fraud case, not Medicaid. The settlement agreement mentions Medicaid only. All right? So I said, well, wait a minute. This is Grok. This is Grok. Let's go a little further with this. See, make sure that we're correct. So, in Savannah, this is starting to get legs. In Savannah, this is Tuesday, April 14th, yesterday. Rick Jackson said it yesterday because I said, well, wait a minute. I asked Grok, did Jackson respond to the newscast? Tuesday the 14th, at a meet and greet with voters in Savannah at the AC Hotel on River Street, his exact words, this is Rick Jackson's exact words, responding directly to Burt Jones' Medicaid ad. So we showed you the ads. We showed you the TV channel that did the fact check on the ads. We went and asked about the ads. Yesterday, he responded to the ads. Okay, we're pulling the curtain back of what I consider of the most fraudulent campaign I've ever been a part of, and why he is running. I'm getting to that. In order to make Medicare fraud, this is his exact words responding directly to Burt Jones' Medicare ad. In order to make Medicare fraud, you actually have to bill Medicare. Okay, this is what he says. All right. We bill hospitals, we provide doctors and nurses, and so forth to hospitals. Therefore, we have never committed Medicare fraud. Now, they did sign a deal with admitting no liability. Okay? Made no admission. But he says, we never committed Medicare fraud. Well, that is very slippery because they are named in a Medicare fraud investigation. All right? That's the closest and clearest public statement on the campaign trail, match what you asked for. All right? So, I started doing some research. And here is Tri-City Herald. Ex-Tri-City Doctor Staffing Company accused of Medicare kickback scheme March 15th, 2024. Because I don't want to just take Grok's word for it, right? And here it is. Dr. Edward Salco, a doctor, Jackson and Coker have agreed to pay $700,000 to federal government to resolve allegations they participated in kickback scheme to bill Medicare for tests and equipment that were not medically necessary. Okay? So, I go a little further as I'm looking at this. Jackson and Coker are a company that recruits doctors and other healthcare professionals for temporary medical assignments, contracted Salco about telemedicine opportunities, contacted Salco about telemedicine opportunities that would require him to prescribe medical equipment. Although the settlement agreement did not detail what equipment to be authorized, it points out that knee and lower back braces, all right? Nationwide generated fraudulent orders for generic tests and equipment and then emailed a link to Salco with medical information that included proposed medical history. Okay? So, I looked at it here a little closer. This is a publication. So I go to Grok, I look at it, I see the ads Burt Jones put out, right? The true or false, these are pretty damning. I remember back, my trained ear on Wednesday said there's a new ad coming out. We cannot commit Medicaid fraud. Want to get out in front of it? I watched the TV fact check. Here is the Jackson Coker nationwide, a daily fee of $45 plus $35 in order. Jackson Coker charged nationwide a daily fee of $45 plus $35 for each order approved by Salco. Salco was paid $15 by Jackson and Coker for every order he approved. Every order he approved. The $700,000 to be paid to the federal government by Salco and the recruitment company included $250,000 in restitution. Jackson and Coker cooperated with the investigation. And here's the attorney for the Eastern District. So I said, wait a minute. Let's actually go and look at the United States Attorney's Office. So there it is. We go to the United States Attorney's Office. Richland Physician Healthcare Staffing Company, now United States Attorney's Office, Eastern District of Virginia, agreed to pay $700,000 to resolve False Claims Act liability arising from telemedicine scheme. That's their title. That's not mine. Scheme. Jackson Healthcare was involved in a telemedicine scheme. That's according to the United States Attorney's Office. Physician Edward Salco, formerly of Richland, Virginia, and Jackson Coker agreed to pay $700,000 to resolve allegations that they participated in a kickback scheme to bill Medicare for medically unnecessary durable medical equipment. Medicare provides health insurance to elderly and disability in the United States. Keep in mind, his room is senior citizens. I'm like, wait a minute. So, I'm not done. I'm almost finished. So, I go to the settlement agreement. And you can read this. I just have a page here. So, there's a full settlement agreement. The settlement agreement is entered into among the United States of America, acting through the United States Department of Justice, blah, 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 and defendants, okay, Jackson and Coker and Edward William Salco, collectively referred to here within the defendants, through an unauthorized representatives, the United States defendants, and hereby referred to as parties. Now, factual. Medicare is a federal health benefit program that provides health insurance to elderly and senior citizens, blah, 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 outpatient medical services, medical equipment. Between 2020 and 2021, what was happening at that time? Oh, those are the COVID days. Those are back in the COVID days also, where Georgia was shoveling as much money as they could into Jackson Healthcare. So back in the 2020, 2021, while Donald Trump and you and I had just had an election stolen from us, Rick was busy. Rick was busy. Between August 2020 and September 2021, defendant Dr. Salco was a board-certified physician licensed to practice in Washington, Arizona, California, Nevada, and Utah, and a participant in a Medicare program to enroll participants in the program. You can go through here, okay, and you can read the entire settlement. I'm just telling you, you could read this entire settlement. Terms and conditions. Now, I just went to the last page on terms and conditions. Defendants, remember, they're defendants, okay? Defendants shall pay the United States $700,000 and $250,000 restitution. The settlement amount shall be paid within 14 days effective, blah, 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 right? Let's see. I had something else released. This released their liability. All right. So they're released of any criminal and so forth, criminal liability. They made him a deal. But guess what? The ads are true. Guess what? Jackson was named as a defendant. Medicare. Now he wants to give you the loophole. The loop of, I can't be involved in fraud. No, they did not get convicted. If they would have not settled this, all right? If they would have not been caught, settled this, paid it, when I say caught, don't know what happened, but somehow it come up. If they would have not have said, okay, let's work together, let's settle this, what do you want? Because that's right at $1 million, 700 plus 250 is right at $1 million. Let's get out of this. All right? We'll make you a deal. We don't want held liable. We don't know what criminal action. Here's $1 million. What do you want? But they're named as defendants in a scheme. Period. It's fact. All right? Telemedicine. So, I get this here, and I'm going to wrap up. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, why, what would this guy do? What would he do? I mean, I get it. The data center's Burt Jones. I get it. Certificate of need. I get it how he attacks Burt Jones. I get it. But what would this guy do? So I get this text message, and I'm like, what the hell's this about now? And I'm reading it, and you can see it says Rick Jackson draws 100 plus at Fox City. So it's to show me this. And then I get this cut here. And I read every word. He said he will try to make Georgia the most effective state. He said that telemedicine, now this is in this article, and I get this, right? He said that telemedicine is one way to lower cost. Jackson said there should be a mental health evaluation of anyone admitted to a hospital. Jackson said there should be a mental health evaluation of anyone admitted into a hospital. Now, I don't know in this paper if that's out of context or anything. That just made me think, right? Let's go back. Why does Rick Jackson want to be governor? Mental health evaluation. Now, you and I have heard mental health, right? Almost every legislative session, there's a mental health bill. So I started going back to Grok and asking a couple questions. I said, is Jackson Healthcare pushing the telemedicine side of their business? I've heard him say it, but I wanted to hear it. Yes, they're pushing it into it as part of their growth strategy. Jackson Healthcare, part of their growth strategy. Jackson Healthcare created and dedicated, they created a dedicated behavioral health division. Now see, they have created a dedicated behavioral health division, right? Including mental health and psychiatric staffing. Mental evaluations. Because that sector is growing around 9% per year. They're using telehealth staffing, especially through Jackson and Coker, to fill psychiatrist and behavioral health roles in rural areas where there's a big shortage. They also bought a couple small telehealth staffing companies in 2025 to expand remote work options, including mental health. It's like, okay, wait a minute. And then I asked some more questions. And I got yes, they absolutely could. And they are already doing similar work. Jackson Coker staff psychiatrics and psychiatric nurse practitioners for telehealth roles that include psychiatric evaluations. Right? Everybody admitted to the hospital, psychiatric evaluation for your kids, psychiatric evaluation for every single person going in to, getting arrested, to see if they need to go to a hospital. Timing's everything, right? So, nurse practitioners for telehealth roles that include psychiatric evaluations and medication management. They've placed providers in county jails for intake evaluations. Remember? County jails, intake evaluations, forensic settings, and outpatient community health, mental health, all of which often involve formal mental health assessments. I mean, you can't say mental health in Georgia enough, right? Mental health crisis. Right? A sheriff needing a competency evaluation or a school system needing student psych evals could contract with them to place a telepsychiatrist, ready? Who does exactly that via video. I'm thinking, Now, this is things that they're already offering. It's not their biggest business line, but it's part of the behavioral health staffing they actively recruit for. Here's what it looks like, okay? So technically, their telehealth department is set up to support exactly the kind of evaluations you're asking about, because I asked, okay? So, let's go to the next one. Woo! DBHDD stands for Department of Behavioral Health and Development Disabilities. That's Georgia's state agency responsible for mental health, substance use, and developmental disability service across the state. They're the ones that run Georgia's psychiatric hospitals and contract with staffing companies like Jackson Healthcare. I asked some more questions. Yes, they do have active contracts with Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. As of February 2026, Jackson Healthcare subsidiaries hold ongoing contracts with the state agency for mental health care professionals working at state psychiatric hospitals and facilities. These date back at least 2015, where competitive bid and have paid out roughly $239 million since 2020. Right? So, let's keep going. They already have contracts. So, I asked some more questions. Yes, they have. Since 2022, Governor Kemp and Georgia legislature have made mental health a visible priority. They passed a major bipartisan reform bill in 2022 that overhauled part of the system and forced better insurance coverage. You got to have better insurance coverage for mental health so someone can bill it. And substance abuse treatment. Spending has gone up. DBHDD overall state funding now sits at about $1.7 billion, with mental health services seeing steady growth since 2020. The biggest recent move came in 2026 amended budget. They just approved a $409 million to design and build a regional psychiatric hospital to add more beds. Now, so I asked more questions with Jackson Healthcare involved. Absolutely, it lines up perfectly with them. The state is pouring hundreds of millions into mental health right now. $409 million for a brand new 300-bed psychiatric hospital, plus big increases in forensic services and hospital operations. Those new beds and facilities will need doctors, nurses, psychiatrists, and other clinicians. And Jackson already has an active contract supplying exactly that staff. I wonder if Burt Jones is the governor, if he wouldn't get the contract. They have been paid $239 million since 2020 from this state agency. More beds and more patients almost always mean more staffing contracts. So yeah, the spending push is a direct tailwind for their business. He's not a Trump supporter. The campaign is a front. They're only writing puff articles about him. Nothing substance. But I'm going to tell you this. Medicaid settlement with the United States that he claims almost $1 million. Telehealth medicine. He pushes it all the time, asks the questions. Telehealth medicine. Pushes it all the time. And if he becomes governor, he is set right in the perfect position right? Set right in perfect position to help with the mental health crisis that everybody says we have in this state. I'm just saying. This guy wants to be governor for $185,000 a year? I don't think so. This guy wants to be governor so he can cut your property tax? I don't know. I'm not seeing it. This guy wants to be governor so he can end the cartel under the Gold Dome? I'm not seeing it. No, I'm not seeing it. I'm really not. I think I see why he wants to be governor. I think. And I don't know that for a fact, okay? But I put up the factual documents from the United States, Attorney General's office. I put up the settlement for $1 million, senior Medicaid scam, telephone scam. Just thinking next time when your mom and dad are getting phone calls, senior citizens are sitting in those rooms, right? And someone says if they sign up now, or, we know you need a back brace. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's right there. You could do all the research yourself. But I'm not buying it. And why am I so hard on this? Because I don't want what I think is something that is to enrich someone. That's what I think. And I'm allowed to. It's America. I'm allowed to think that. I am. It's America, Jack. I'm allowed to think it. And I'm watching somebody completely, if he had my interest, if he was going to end the cartel, he had my interest. I was with him all the way. If he was going to put an end to the lobbyists roaming the halls, I was with him all the way. If he was going to put an end to the power arm twisting of our state reps and state senators and end the backdoor deals and the dirty deals, I was with him all the way. I would have been his number one supporter. I would have helped him any way I could. But I could not see past the why. And then I started to see the veil, and then I started to see the false, and then the produced, well-produced team. And he said he would pay anything, and he's buying people left and right. And why? So you want to continue that his story of a true story about the way he grew up and foster care and the projects and his alcohol mom. That's enough. That's why you should vote for him. He's one of you. Please don't say that he's not one of you, okay? So anytime he would say something to the fact, hey, I'm ready to, I know how to bring down health care cost. Why did you settle? If you can, here's my question. So if you want to ask him, if you said, and if you want to get in touch with me, I'll give you the exact quote he made in Savannah. If you said you cannot commit Medicare fraud, you cannot. That's what you said. I'll send you the quote, actually. Tell me why you were named as a defendant. You were named as a defendant. The United States Attorney General's office called it a Medicare scam, and you settled. Why did you settle if you can't do anything wrong? Right? Not me, folks. Not me. So let me give you a couple things we're working on for tomorrow. Hillary. This is the Georgia Independent. You can go read all about it. David Clark put out an article. News channels are covering it. The Georgia Independent. This is where he had a car accident and he was not charged. Someone was killed, and they are now calling him Blake Tillery Killery. Sonny Perdue has retired as chancellor, right? Sonny Perdue has retired as chancellor of the state school higher education system. 14th District got a new representative. Clay Fuller is officially the congressman from the 14th District. Congratulations, Congressman. And here's the thing, folks, is one of the things that really, really, really frosts my ears with this friggin' Rick Jackson. John Ossoff's post-record $14 million haul, high-stake Georgia Senate race. Cook Political Report. Folks, Cook Political Report has moved. You got it? They have moved the Senate race in Georgia from toss-up to leaning Democrat. And Rick Jackson, it's all about him. It's all about Rick. Right? It's all about Rick. And he doesn't think if you're 65 years old, maybe you shouldn't pay any property tax at all. But you are on Medicare. I call it, my opinion, I'm allowed to do it. I call them customers. I think every time in the room when he sees 200 people, he's like, I think he might look and say, he could possibly say, those are customers. It could happen. Now, you're going to see some more in the coming days on this right here. This is big. Lawmakers being warned, the Epstein Amendment is coming for you. I'm going to do a full segment. Who is the Epstein Amendment for? What's getting ready to happen there? So, folks, I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. Go to our Substack channel. Follow us there. Please share it with your friends, okay? Your neighbors. Please share it. And our channel, X, YouTube, Rumble, Voice of Rural America, Facebook, Voice of Rural America. We do not get paid here. I do not take a paycheck from any candidate. None. But if you want to buy advertising, you can buy advertising. I just let you know, can't buy a narrative. You can buy ads, can't buy a narrative. So I am going to run through. I hope you will stay for our, I hope you'll stay. Let me highlight our great advertisers that, that help me produce this. And let's see. What do I have here? Hold on. I had it a minute ago. There we go. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'm your host, BKP.
With my 35 years of experience, our team at U.S. Asset Management can deliver professional investment management, financial planning to help you target your goals, and even specialized divorce financial analysis if you need it. We are here to help you make better decisions with your money. Call U.S. Asset Management today, and let's get to work in your financial future.
The left is siding with illegals, attacking ICE, and fighting to let non-citizens vote. Republican Kelvin King is a graduate of the Air Force Academy, Air Force veteran, and conservative businessman. As Georgia's Secretary of State, Kelvin will put Americans first, root out corruption, clean up voter rolls, and restore confidence in our elections. The other candidates had their chance and failed. Republican Kelvin King for Secretary of State, leadership Georgia voters can trust.
Pro-Trump warrior Steve Gooch won't just cut property taxes in Georgia. He'll throw them straight in the wood chipper.
Senior citizens on fixed income shouldn't be forced from their homes. Neither should veterans who have served our country and fought for our freedoms. And neither should anyone else for that matter. Frankly, these crazy property taxes are un-American. I'll tear them to shreds. We'll make home ownership great again.
Steve Gooch for Lieutenant Governor. Toughest tax cutter Georgia's ever seen.
Do you already have your investments with Fidelity? I'm David Cross with U.S. Asset Management. Did you know that you can assign your investment management to my team and put my 35 years of experience to work for you? You simply assign us as your investment manager and you keep the same username and password. Professional management, and you get to work with someone who shares your values. Call U.S. Asset Management today and put us to work for you.